It's true that China has gained a foothold in Sri Lanka over the last few years. China has lent Sri Lanka huge sums. China has invested in the infrastructure of Sri Lanka heavily. For example, China has got operating rights of Hambantota port in Colombo. It has got the operating rights of Eastern Terminal, Container Terminal of Colombo. So definitely China has great influence in the Sri Lankan economy. But India was not a mute spectator as China increased their influence. India, especially under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has taken a few impressive steps to gain the confidence of Sri Lanka. And against that backdrop, the recent visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi has turned out to be a great equalizer. Modi signed quite a few contracts there. And in fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was accorded one of the rarest receptions in Sri Lanka given to any state head in the recent times. So I think that turned out to be definitely a great equalizer. Let's take a closer look into the recent visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Sri Lanka. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. As I said, China has been trying their level best in the recent years to gain a foothold in Sri Lanka, and they have succeeded to a great extent. China has invested heavily in Sri Lanka, but of course, Chinese help came at a cost also. China never gives grant to many countries. Perhaps Pakistan is an exception. Otherwise, China demands returns for every yuan they spend. And in the case of Sri Lanka also that is quite true. In fact, there are many economists who say that the economic crisis in which Sri Lanka fell in the recent years was the fallout of Chinese help accepted by the island nation. But anyway, Sri Lanka cannot simply reject Chinese offer. China is now one of the biggest powers in the world, and if they extend a hand to somebody, nobody has got the balls to reject that. So, of course, one cannot blame Sri Lanka, and but at the same time, Sri Lanka has been trying to balance between China and India. And the recent economic crisis was actually an eye opener to Sri Lanka. It seems Sri Lanka has realized the cost of Chinese help. But anyway, they cannot do much about that. They have already received financial help from China, and they will have to oblige the contracts which they signed with China. For example, in the development of Sri Lankan ports. But at the same time, now Sri Lanka is trying to balance it. Now, the latest example is the agreement between Sri Lanka and India to develop eastern part of Sri Lanka, especially Trincomalee district, with a significant presence of Tamil, ethnic Tamils and you know Moors who are Muslims, as an energy hub of Sri Lanka. And India is in this effort aided by United Arab Emirates. The UAE is actually scouting for buyers for their oil, and if India is there to help them, they are definitely happy to invest in Trincomalee to build storage houses, then build pipelines across Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka, in fact, needs oil. So this is a symbiotic relationship between India, UAE, and Sri Lanka. So here, India has checkmated China. In fact, a few days ago, China announced the building of a huge oil refinery near Hambantota, and that was at a huge cost, considerable cost of say over 3 billion US dollars, which is quite a significant sum. So here, actually, India and UAE have joined together to checkmate China, and that goes to the credit of India's diplomacy that India has balanced the influence of China there. China has grown as a huge economy at present. Their economy is next only to the United States. China has got by conventional standards, China's GDP is around 17 trillion US dollars. So here is such a big economy trying to browbeat other nations in the South Asia and bring them under their stranglehold. Now, India has played a very positive role in checkmating China, and the good thing is that now Sri Lanka has realized the, the helping role of India. Till the other day, Sri Lankans were always looking at India with some kind of doubt or apprehension or fear, and that has been the story in the past also. But now, recently, when leftist Anura Kumara Bandaranaike came to power in Sri Lanka, many people, in fact, I also doubted about his intentions. But now it has become very clear that Anura, unlike his predecessors, is not indulging in duplicity. At least he is open towards his friendship towards China and towards India. So he is trying to balance, and he is giving India also a great amount of space than that happened at Trincomalee. There are other plans also for India. India has signed quite a few agreements with Sri Lanka, and one agreement includes cooperation in defense. India and Sri Lanka have mutually assured that each other's territory won't be used for endangering the national security of the other country. So India, this is the first time that India has signed any kind of defense agreement, defense cooperation agreement with Sri Lanka after the humiliating withdrawal of India's peacekeeping force from Sri Lanka in in the past. So here uh, there are signs that India and Sri Lanka are going back to the days of warm friendship, and significantly, Anura Dissanayake has contributed a great deal when that was not expected from. That is the surprise factor in this new development. Then another surprising thing was Prime Minister Narendra Modi met different sections in Sri Lankan society, and one such surprising meeting was with the former Sri Lankan cricketers. Mr. Modi recounted how Sri Lanka won a World Cup in 1990s, and before that India had won the World Cup, and he narrated how that changed the world cricket scenario, how South Asia developed as a powerhouse in world cricket, and Sri Lankans were happy to agree with him. And not just that, former Sri Lankan captain and one of the best batsmen, or one of the best explosive batsmen the world has ever seen, Sanath Jayasuriya, he made a request to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Mr. Jayasuriya is currently the national coach of cricket coach of Sri Lanka. He requested Prime Minister Narendra Modi to take initiative in developing cricket in northern Sri Lanka, Jaffna, which is a Tamil majority area. Jaffna is of very significance in the Sri Lanka's history, because that was an area where LTT ruled the roost in the past. In fact, a couple of decades ago, not even Sri Lankan army or Sri Lankan police had any say in Jaffna. The area was completely under the control of liberation tigers of Tamil Eelam. And Jaffna was a well developed area also in the past, because rich Tamil businessmen were there. They had great contacts with India. So Sanath Jayasuriya's request is appropriate. But we don't know what kind of help Sanath Jayasuriya was requesting, whether it was money for building an international stadium, or whether it is opportunity for players from northern Sri Lanka to play in India's Premier League, which is now which has now developed as one of the training grounds of all cricketers all over the world, and there is immense money also. So in many ways, this is the hotbed of cricket. This is the cradle of cricket, IPL. So I think Modi's visit has generated immense goodwill in Sri Lanka, and it's right. It was appropriate that Modi took initiative in interacting with different sections of Sri Lankan society, and it is significant that India is given a foothold in Trincomalee not just because of the presence of Tamils there, but you know Trincomalee is a natural port, and gaining a foothold in that area where there is a natural port, it's a big port. So I think this suits the maritime interests of India also. China is trying their level best to to establish a hegemony in Indian Ocean. Now, apart from getting the right of Western Terminal of Colombo International Container Port, now India will also gain a foothold in Trincomalee also. Well, let's see. Anyway, one conclusion is Modi's recent visit is definitely a success. And another aspect is that in the coming days, I think India Sri Lanka relations are bound to get better, and thanks to Anura Disanayake and the initiatives of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So, meet you with updates in the coming days. Till then, goodbye.